Hello, friends. Welcome back to school. And yeah, here we go, right back into percents and mathing. So today's activity is just reminding your brains that we do math. And this is the math that we are currently doing. We are doing percents. So first the first couple questions on the review are just changing a decimal to percent. Ooh. And so remember to change a decimal to percent. You move the decimal place 2 places to the right, making a bigger number. So the percent is bigger than the decimal. So that's 35.7%. Okay, and then if we're doing percent to decimal, it works the other way. So if we have like 128%, remember, if there isn't a decimal, it's at the end of the number, and we're going to move it now. This time we're going to move it 2 places to the left to make a smaller decimal, and that decimal is 1.28 for that one. Okay, then we're going to review how to take a percent of a number. And that looks like, what is 14% of 74. Okay, so remember, we're going to change the percent to a decimal, so it becomes 0.14 of means times 74. And then you pop it in your calculator, because we're reasonable humans, times 74, if I could type it in right, and we get 10.36. There we go. All right, next up, I want to remind you of the percent proportion. This is the one that we cross multiply to solve for any of the missing numbers in our percent equation. So remember, it's the part over the whole equals the percent over 100. Okay, so remember, the part is the one that's by itself on the side by the is. Usually it's smaller unless you have over 100%. And the whole is the one that's connected to the percent with the of. Okay? All right, so if we practice that, what percent is 15 of 52? Now this one is actually written a little bit wonky, right? Because our is right here, and both of the numbers are over here. What is happening? But it's okay, right? Because the one that's closest to the is still going to be our part. So that's going to be our 15 over 52. And remember, when we have our part and our whole and we're looking for a percent, we can actually go straight from there and put it in the calculator to get the decimal form of the percent. So 15 divided by 52 is 0.288, and that's rounded. I'm going to leave it there. And then to change it from a decimal to a percent, 28.8%. Done and done. All right. Now, something that's a little bit new, just because I'm choosing to use the problems out of MathSpace, is so far we've calculated percent of increase or percent of decrease from the change. So that was our subtracting and then dividing by the original, which we'll do in a minute. Okay, but we can actually, so to calculate the increase, or any increase really, this will feel very similar to what we were doing to calculate the tax tip and markup. So to calculate the increase and or decrease, if they give you a percent, so for the increase, you find the percent and add it. For decrease, find the percent and subtract it. So when we do our next assignment, which is on discounts and sale prices and stuff, we'll be doing that there. Okay, so what this is going to look like on the worksheet or on MathSpace, it's going to say we want to increase 500 by 40%. Okay, and so remember, we have two ways that we can do this. Really, we can take the percent, just like I said, find the percent. So change the percent to a decimal, 0.40 times 500. 500 times 0.4. And we get 200. Well, that's a nice number. Okay, and then we add that back to the original. And that gives us 700. Okay. The other way to do it, remember, is we can actually add the percents. So this was 40% plus 100%, which means we want to have 140%. So if we change that to a decimal, it's 1.4 or 40. And if we multiply that to the 500, notice 500 times 1.4, and we get 700. So we can do the addition as percents, or we can do the addition as the numbers. It works both ways. And so that's what we were doing, remember, when we were calculating tax and tip and markup. And then it works on tomorrow's assignment. We're going to do a decrease. And it's going to be the same idea. We're going to decrease, say, 120 by 82%. Okay, so first of all, we can take the percent of the number. So 0.82 times 120. I put my calculator down. 0.82 times 120. And that is 98.4. Now, because this is a decrease, we're going to subtract it from the number we started with. So we're going to do 120 minus 98.4. And we get 21.6. Okay? So the decrease works the same way. We can do the subtracting with the percents first. So if we do 100% minus 82%, just to make sure I don't make a mistake, because that happens more often than not. The answer is 18%. So that's how much we want left. So now we can just take 18% of 120, and it should come out to be the same thing. So 120 times 0.18, 120 times 0.18. And lo and behold, we get 21.6. So we'll practice the second one. MathSpace does a pretty good job taking you through it in steps, and then we'll practice it more on tomorrow's lesson. Okay? And then just reminding you, our percent of change. Now, it might be stated a little bit differently on the MathSpace, so let me know if you have questions. On the worksheet, I retyped it so it's more like the language that we use. So if we're looking for the percent of change, remember we found the amount of change, or I'm going to put difference, because we have to subtract them, and then we divide it by the original. And that gets us the decimal form. So let's say that we bought I don't know, some shoes, sure, for $48. And then after a while, we didn't wear them, and so we sold them for $36. And I want to know what the percent of change, what's my percent of loss. So I'm going to subtract those two, 48 minus 36, which is 12. So 48 minus 36 equals 12. And then the original was the 48 divided by 48 equals 0.25, which is 25%. Okay, so just remember that's a thing. And then last of all, we've got markups. I actually put a couple of questions about markups on the math space. And so let's say we have a store that gets DVDs from their supplier for $12. Hello, I'm doing great here, guys. For $12, and then they sell them for so they want to mark it up instead of selling it for a price, which we could find the percent of change then if we wanted to, but the markup is 66%. I got excited with all the circles and zeros and things. Okay. So the question is, what is the retail price? What do they sell it for? And then how much do they make in profit? How much are they making per DVD? Okay, so retail price, we need to find the percent of the number and add it in, or we can do 100 plus the 66%. We can do it both ways. I'll do it the regular way, 0.66 times 12. 0.66 times 12. I did divide, and it gives you a not good answer. There we go, $7.92. Then I'm going to add that to the price that the store paid for it, so plus the 12. And they're going to be selling it for $19.92. Does that sound familiar? Okay, and then the profit is this amount that we marked it up. Because if we do this minus the 12, we should get the $7.92. So it's good to do it this way, just because then you already have both of your answers. All right. And then the tax and tip questions, same idea. We're just doing a percent increase, and you don't even need to do the total. They just want the tax or tip, so you're just taking percents of numbers. And there you go. Good luck. Hope you remember something.